Welcome to the Tommy 80 Podcast, where the discussion is about mindset, skill set, crashing, burning, and climbing back to the top. Listen to find out how some of the world's best business minds are adapting to a new economy, staying in the game, and continuing to live the lifestyle we all want. That's what this podcast is about.
Welcome back to the Tommy 80 Show. I'm Tommy 80, and today I've got a person that's like a magician when it comes to creating content that gets noticed. In the Powersports industry, there's no doubt that you've come across his writing. The guy began his career as an incredibly fast amateur on Team Green, finished in the pro ranks as high as a podium at Redbud, and then he went on to college and began his adulting life. He was even fast enough that Racer X recently interviewed him to find out what he was up to now, although I know they already knew what he was doing. When you hear where he's been and some of the wild ones that he was hanging with and may still hang with, you're going to comprehend where his imagination comes from. A few of the companies that he's had very strong ties working with are Alpinestars, Fly Racing, Tucker, Pro Motobillet, Cometic Gaskets, Racer X Upshift, and the list just keeps on going. But Dale Spangler's his name. We met about 20 years ago, and now I'm excited to introduce you to my longtime friend, Dale Spangler. He's another one of the talented ones living near me in Boise, Idaho.
Third at Redbud. I know 1 year, so I knew who he was, but I didn't expect that he was going to have this marketing talent all of a sudden when he was done with motocross. And so Dale, welcome to the show. I'm glad that we made this happen finally. We've been talking for a while, and then all of a sudden I launched this show, and perfect guy to bring onto it. So I saw the press release this morning.
Buzz Media. Yep. I'm decided to branch out on my own. Well, first off, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Like you said, we've known each other for a while. We've definitely crossed paths here and there, in and out, speaking to each other, and then times in between. And I'm in my 27th year, I guess, in the industry. And times are tough. I was working at Tucker Powersports and was furloughed there, and then was seeking a job, and it just hadn't had much luck. It's for a guy like me who's been around. I think there's a lot of companies that don't necessarily look for people that are a little older, have more, I guess, experience, and everybody looks, defaults to the younger people, and so I just figured, I've have all this time in, and why not branch out on my own and offer my services and see what I can do with it. And so that's Buzz Media. I'm going to be trying to help out dealers and brands and athletes with writing, blogging, copy editing, anything I could do in the content marketing realm to just help bring more engaging content to the industry. I think in some cases, we've all seen those press releases. Everything sometimes it can be somewhat stale, where it's very kind of going through the motions. And so I want to do stuff that separates brands, makes them stand out. So
right.
Yeah, I'm excited to get going with it. It's just, as like you said, the press release just went out yesterday, and so I'm just trying to get it out there and get people hopefully interested. And I've already had quite a few conversations, so it's we'll see where it goes.
So you've been, I know a lot of the companies that you've been around. You've been doing the marketing thing for a while, and I know, Buzz Media is the perfect name because you create buzz. But back when I met you, you were coming up with some weird ideas that made sense, and it was like the start of it was like 2001, 2002, and so it was the start of the World Wide Web, and you were coming up with some ideas to get people to go to like our website and buy things, and so there's no doubt. So it's been pretty fun because I've been watching your content forever, because you started it, may not have been your start, but Cometic Gasket, right? Weren't you a draftsman there?
Yeah, that was my first job. That was way back in 1993.
So there you're just drawing, not just, but had to probably pencil out diagrams or something, wasn't it? So they could make gaskets?
It's pretty insane, really, because, I didn't know really what to do when I'd stopped racing in 1989. My dad and I were like, if you don't have a factory ride making money, then it's time to kind of move on and do something else. And so, I'd stopped and went to a technical college and got a computer drafting degree. And then I started racing again in 93, racing pro again, trying to make a comeback, because I just, after a couple of years in the real world, I was like, man, I sure like racing a lot.
Work sucks.
Yeah. So I was working at Cometic and still racing some supercrosses and things like that, trying to make mains and all that kind of stuff. And so, but yeah, I was able to put the computer drafting thing to work. And so that's what they hired me for initially was, I would literally be taking a gasket, like a flat head gasket, and I'd have to draw a 2D version of it, on a CAD machine. And that's what they would import into their water jet machine and cut out these gaskets. And so, yeah, I did that and I would do it with calipers and, it was really old fashioned. We didn't even have a scanner, I don't think, when I first started. So it was just doing it by hand, and which was, I learned a lot with that. And we'd make dies out of, so I'd have to draw the drawings for the dies to, stamp out gaskets. And so, yeah. And then I kind of just approached them and said, I'm interested in marketing, being a racer. And so I just started a racing, like a rider support program for them, and started going to races like GNCCs and High Point National, places like that, and set up a Cometic booth and just talk to people and get to know them and just market the brand. And, at that time they were totally receptive to it. And kind of along with Weisco was really big on that too. They would go to all the GNCCs and outdoor nationals that were in the area. And so, yeah, I just kind of like jumped on that. And then from there, that was kind of the start of my marketing career. From there, I moved down to Alpinestars over in Italy.
Yeah, you actually had to move over there, right?
Yeah, so I moved over there. It was just I'd gone through kind of a rough patch in my life when my dad had passed away, and I was married and kind of had a rough divorce, and so I just needed to change the scenery, and so I just sort of jumped at the opportunity. Didn't know anything about Europe and didn't know the language, and just went for it, and I spent almost 2 years over there traveling around doing media relations. So I was able to pick that up and learn from Alpinestars, who I feel like at the time, and I still think they are, they're cutting edge with their media relations. I was able to learn how to, establish relationships with the media and get to know them and go to races and travel around with products and go to the editorial office and show the products. So it was really fun learning experience, and of course got to see a lot of Europe. So no regrets.
Let me ask you this about Alpinestars. I want to see if you know, because I don't know. So obviously they know media, and you were with them for a while, and it was media. They sponsor a guy, Eli Tomac. We may have heard of him. And he wears their gear, and nobody sells their gear. And, yeah, what's the deal?
I think really it was just, the owner, Gabrielle, is just all about, like, if he sees an athlete that he wants to be associated with, it's just a kind of whatever it takes mentality, whether or not that, actually generates sales in the end. It's more about branding for him. Like, he just seems like he was a big picture guy that way. Like, he was that way when I worked there. It was Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi was, at the time, was actually wearing Alpinestars boots for a little while, but he was still wearing Dionysi leather suits. And so then eventually he started wearing head-to-toe Dionysi, and man, Gabrielle was just like, man, we got to get Valentino Rossi back. So it was like there would be times where, we would just do crazy stuff to try and, woo him into wanting to wear Alpinestars again. Like, example was I flew back to California from Italy, and Valentino came over, and Valentino evidently wanted to hang out with Mike Metzger. And so we paid for all this stuff to get him there. We got him a dirt bike. I had a dirt bike. So him and I, Valentino Rossi and me, it's the strangest story. We load up a van, just a little white van, drive out to Mike Metzger's, and we rode in the desert with Mike Metzger, like just a group of us. It's just one of those weird bucket list things.
Rossi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like so strange, to think that guy's, he's so huge now, Valentino Rossi, where like it's probably hard to, even see him in public now. You probably can't even walk out in public. And here we are just loading up a van in Torrance, California, and then driving out to Metzger's house. And going riding in the desert. It's just strange things like that. So that was all because I was like, I just want to see if there's a way that somehow we'll get him back.
Right. Did it work?
No, it didn't.
No.
No, he's been a Dionysi guy ever since.
He still is, huh?
Still loyal. Yeah. And
wow.
So, but yeah, it's just things like that. I think back on, man, I could almost write a book on some of the crazy experiences I had throughout the years with situations like that. Like the crusty guys came over one year. I had to take them around for a week, and we went to France and Venice and all these different areas. And
that's rough.
It was honestly, by the end of it, I wanted to kill them all. So it was just pure mayhem, like trying to stay out of jail.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. What about this right here? What's your you've known Bernardo for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was kind of a funny story, but so we've known each other for a long time, and probably the last time we hung out was at snowcross race of all things in Minnesota. I was working at Smith Optics, and so I went there for a snowcross race, the Canterbury, I think is what it is, and so he was the announcer then, and so that was probably the last time we hung out. But then it was just years since we even crossed paths or communicated with one another, and I started Dirt Buzz in 2015, and about 6 months into it, I just get this random email, and it just says, "I like to write too," and it's Jerry Bernardo. He just randomly found my website and sent me. He didn't even know it was me, and so I emailed him back. I'm like, "Jerry, is this the same Jerry?" And he's like, "Is this the same Dale Spangler?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, and then next thing you know, it's just kind of off and running, and we just have been working together on random stuff here and there. And he's the one that designed my Buzz Media logo. So,
okay.
Yeah. So he's over in Australia, just he works for himself too, and he's a graphic designer, does tons of logos for different people and t-shirt designs. And in fact, he did this one too, the Dirt Buzz one.
Okay, I got that shirt.
Yeah, so it's just strange, and so he kind of made me the fuck you racing Idaho representative, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When you announced that, I thought, what? And yeah, cool. So, because, yeah, some of us have known about Jerry Bernardo for a long time, and how, what do you say? I mean, he's seems like he's not right, but he's interesting. He's colorful.
Yes, he's definitely a unique cat, if we want to call him that. He definitely marches to his own beat, and he really doesn't care what anybody else thinks, and it's like, so there's times where I'm like, whoa, like, now you've gone too far. But, there's other times where I'm like, I'll read something that he's written, and I'm like, man, this guy's like brilliant, because I wish I could write like he can, like he just is such a good storyteller. And so, things like that where, yeah.
Well, it looks like it's helped you, whatever you've, your connection with him. There's no doubt about that, because I read your articles. I'm sure I missed some of them, but I've been reading them for years. Whatever I find that you write about Blackwater, about some of your rides that you do, because you're on a Triumph now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And headed all over the place in Idaho, where you keep going.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got a new magazine here. I don't know if they're new. Upshift. I think I've seen some of your stuff in there too. Is that right?
Yeah. That's those guys are great. They're over in Eagle there where you're at, and so they have a little. I think it's right close to downtown. So I don't know. Have you been there yet?
No.
Yeah, you'll have to stop in. They're starting to set up like a little storefront too, where they have like a little place where they have merchandise and they're.
Oh, okay. I'll have to drop by.
Yeah, but that's Simon Cudby, the photographer, and so Brandon Glanville, who he worked at Scott, and I think he worked at Smith for a little while, and then Chris Glassbell, who I think came from Yoshimura and a couple other places. But they all live, here in Boise now and in Eagle, and so yeah, they're going after the whole ADV market, and with the connections between all three of them they have, it seems like they're doing pretty well with that magazine. And yeah, so I've known those guys for a while, and they asked me to write the insider column, and it's always fun to do stuff like that. That's kind of my favorite thing to do, is write, I guess, more inspiring you know, not so much. I mean, I do write opinion pieces, but you know, I try and those are my more personal. You know, I don't try and do anything professional with those, but yeah, I like stuff that's just inspiring and that hopefully just kind of helps bring people up or the industry up. And because I feel like it's obviously with where we're at now, there's so much negativity in the media and everything I read every day that it's, you know, it's hard to, after a while, you just got to shut it off. You know, I actually took a break from Facebook and some other things for a while because I just, it was starting to make me crazy, you know, and make me angry when I read half the stuff on there. So it was just.
Well, I can't say that I've ever seen anything negative in your material at all. And dealer news, I've spotted you in there too, right?
Yeah.
Some industry information.
Yep. Yeah. Robin Hartfield over there, he's a good friend, known for years. And, you know, it's just, he's helped me already with, you know, with the Buzz Media thing, trying to spread the word. And so it's just nice to have people that we help each other, you know. And hopefully those relationships kind of help me down the road, and maybe I'll get some work out of it, and we'll see. Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking that one piece that did run in dealer news was about the censorship personality, you know, like athlete personalities. That's probably the closest thing to maybe it's somewhat negative, but really I was just trying to kind of have people stop and think like, hey man, you know, like if you could market yourself more, like, and be more yourself. Like I know it's tough for when they have these, you know, big OEM sponsors and that, for them to be, you know, speak up and be colorful. But I think, man, I miss the days of like the Hannahs and, you know, like those types of people where they just, you know what I mean? It was really kind of, it was interesting, you know, like
they'd say whatever they wanted to. And I mean, and whether we liked it or not, it was media. We liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and they weren't afraid to crack a beer on a podium. I mean, these days it's so squeaky clean. I feel like it's kind of crazy, you know? So, it's kind of weird, but I think that's why I'm a big fan. I don't know. You like the brand Fast House and 805? Like I love what they're doing, the whole Fast House brand, where I just feel like they're bringing that just approachability that, you know, I mean, how many times people go out riding and you're cracking a beer after with your buddies and just talking about the trail ride or the laps you did. Oh, I passed you in that corner. You know, I mean, that's, to me, is I feel like what they're capturing with that brand really well. Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of refreshing.
I love it. Yeah, I do. It's there's just like you said, it's a little bit too squeaky clean at times. Yep. And what about so what kind of work have you been doing? Yeah, I know you've got everything. I think I saw your last thing, or one of your last things. Maybe did a boot comparison for climb, right?
Yeah. So it was actually for a friend of mine. His name's Brian Price. We actually worked together over in Alpinestars. He was the second American to move over there and live in Italy. And so he was one of the guys that was key in creating their whole street line of apparel. You know, or was it street or actually I think it was street stuff, like the jackets and all that. He also moved on to Shift later and helped them create their street line as well. But he has a ADV retail company called Atomic Moto. And so, yeah, he lives over in Bend, and he approached me about, hey, would you be interested in doing a product review for my site? You know, just trying to kind of boost his blog presence and, you know, put some Google food out there, if you will. And so, yeah, he sent me a couple pair of boots, and really that was my first experience of doing one like super in depth like that. But I loved it because it was just like I came up with my own process, and I really took the time. Interesting story. I was just emailing back and forth with Jimmy Lewis, who owns the, you know, Dirt Bike Test website, and we were just talking. I was saying, Jimmy, I'm like, I really just always appreciated how you guys go about your product reviews, because like you don't cut corners. Like you take the time. It's a long form article. You really show the pros and the cons. You're honest about it. Tons of photos. And so that was really what I tried to do with this, you know, product review as well. Like I feel like you can never have enough photos for one, but I also feel like you really got to go out and use the product. You know, kind of beat on it a little bit, be honest about what your thoughts are on it, but then also say, you know, like show the good things about it. So yeah, it was a fun experience. So I'm hoping to do some more of those, maybe with somebody like Jimmy, you know, and we'll see what happens.
And is he down in, isn't he out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, I think he's in Nevada somewhere, like on the California-Nevada border or something. But yeah.
Has he got motorcycle rentals?
I don't even know. He's got so much stuff where he's got his schools, like his ADV schools, I think he teaches. And I think he was helping train Ricky Brayback when he won there.
Right.
Yep. You know, I think he just has his hands in a lot of different things. And, you know, dirt bike test is one of those things. And so, yeah, I've always liked their approach. You know, I feel like they're really doing it well. Obviously his background coming from Cycle World and then Dirt Rider, where he just has a lot of experience. He's a technical guy, you know, so.
Yeah.
He's a straight shooter too, you know, like I remember when I was at a few different brands where like I'd send him a product and then I'd get an email from him like a week later and he'd be like, hey, do you really want me to run this product review on this product? You know, like say it was a tire or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, why? And he's like, here's what's happening, you know, like he's like, I'm not really going to sugarcoat this. And he's like, I can just completely forget about this, that you ever sent it to me, or I can tell the truth, you know? And so it's just kind of like, I mean, it's tough. Like, I think a lot of people these days, consumers, want to know the truth, but I don't know if they know if they're, I don't know if they're getting it in some cases, you know? I think that's why people turn to forums, you know, and reviews, you know, like the first thing you do when I think we all do it now. You go to buy something, you're going to Google it, and you kind of get a consensus based upon real people's views, not necessarily the media.
Yeah, it definitely helps when you get real views, because I'm sure you've seen this happen before, but I remember some guys, I was an off-road racer, and like take the, you're on Team Green though, so probably I'm assuming maybe it was Dunlop back then.
Yep.
But sometimes Dunlop didn't have the best tire for the desert or enduro, and so we'd get other tires. But some of the guys, like take Larry Rossler, he'd take whatever he wanted because he just wanted to win, and then they put those yellow tire decals on there that said Dunlop, and it was a Bridgestone or whatever.
Right? How many stories have we heard of those? You know,
yeah.
Like where it's a brand of oil, and you know they're pouring something else in that bottle, you know.
Yeah. It's sort of like everybody drinking Monster on the podium, right?
Yeah, right. They're guzzling it right after they just won a moto. I don't think so.
Yeah. So what about the industry? I know we were talking about it the other day, talking about dealerships and their websites. Like you've got, and they're all about the same. You've got Dealer Spike and ARI and man, who the heck's the other? DX1, and it just goes on, but they all look the same, and none of them stand out, and they don't really, well, I guess they do what they're supposed to, but they can perform so much better. What do you think of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, we were talking about the other day, it's almost just like, man, you just kind of want to kind of smash your head against the wall, because you're just going, man, with a little bit more, you could have so much more of a presence, you know, with your website design. And even if, you know, like I've looked at quite a few brand dealer websites lately, and one of the first things I look at is if they have a blog, whether it's even kept up, you know. And so I'll see a lot of them that, like, I could tell that they had a lot of, you know, they were raring to go when they first started, but then that lasted maybe 6 months, and then it stopped. And so the last post is 3 years ago. And so, I mean, just little things like that, where like, if you're not going to do it, just get rid of it, you know, like it's not really worth having it there if you're not going to do it like halfway, you know. And so, but I think there's also a lot of ways that you can not necessarily have to do as much work, you know. Like when I was at Tucker, we would try and we had to give a couple presentations to dealers, and you know, we talked about social media techniques where you could, you know, once a week do a live video of a tech tip, you know, like prepping your battery for wintertime or your bike for storage, you know, just become that subject matter expert for your area. And so I just feel like there's a lot of little things that are, you know, suggestions that I think dealers could pick up on pretty easy. But I think it's also a situation where, you know, everybody runs lean these days, you know, we're like the parts guys, the social media manager. And so it's just, it's finding the time, you know. And so, but what I always tried to preach was, you know, like quality over quantity. Like you don't have to be on social media every day. You don't have to post blogs, you know, every week. You know, if you set a goal of once every 3 months, it's better than starting out like crazy and then just stopping completely. And so it's just kind of, you know, creating a schedule that's realistic, you know, and trying to stick with it.
So have you got a regular schedule that you're doing? Because I know it's tough. I've been I haven't worked for anybody. I've been unemployed for quite some time. No. But it's tough having a schedule, and I think you've been writing books maybe. You write articles, reviews. Have you got a regular schedule that you use that maybe dealers should think about doing?
Like lately, just because I've been, I was furloughed in March, so really I've been unemployed since then, and I guess it's 6 months plus now. But, at first I was just really head down trying to find a job. And then I was like, I still need to kind of keep practicing my craft. And so I sort of challenged myself to put out a new piece of content every 2 weeks, that was original. And I started a series called Captured Moments, which was something that I had tons of photos. So I was like, like every single photo you have tells a story. And so the idea was to take that photo and like within 1,000 words or so, tell the story behind that photo. And so I think I've done 6 or so of those. And then, I've done some other long form pieces that I've written, but I'm just trying to keep it to where I put something out every 2 weeks just to kind of challenge myself and keep myself going and practicing. And it's easy to get wrapped up in everything else and just stop writing, and so.
Right. Well, you've definitely been active, even though you left Tucker because you were stuck down in Dallas. And I thought, because I'd watch all your posts down there and thought, well, he's doing everything he can do. That's good. But I've had to work down around Dallas a lot. I like it, but I always like to come home. I like to come back to Boise. No matter where I go. And then all of a sudden, after a couple of years, you came back, and which it was nice to see you back here. And you've definitely been putting some good work out there. And I know you're just keeping it going. It looks like a regular, but it's all on Buzz Media, right?
So right now, Buzz Media is I just launched that probably a week ago tomorrow, I think. So it hasn't even been up a week. But I have a personal portfolio. It's just dalespangler.com that I've kind of kept up throughout the years, that as I write things, whether it's for Meta or different people like that, whether it's Tucker or people that I work for, I've kept that up pretty well. And so that's kind of like an aggregate of just everything I've done for, I guess, probably the last 5+ years or so. And but now I started a blog on Buzz Media that's going to be a little bit more. I'm going to hopefully start trying to do some more educational pieces that I can share on there.
Okay.
Just kind of like what we were just talking about, just more thought-provoking, just ways that dealers, brands, athletes can try to help increase their voice, I guess, and get more information out there.
Right. What about, I forgot to ask you about this. All of a sudden, there you are in Racer X still, where you popped up in Racer X just last month, I think, right?
Yeah.
But that was where they're interviewing you, and it's where's Dale Spangler at, and that was cool. I think it was Steve Mathis that did the interview.
Yeah. Yep. Known Steve forever, and it's one of those, it's funny, like you're talking about, like trying to do things differently. Like one of the first things that I feel like I helped bring to the table when I was at WPS and Fly was Steve approached us about his podcasts, and, he's probably like 10 years in on those podcasts now. And, at the time, podcasts seemed like it was sort of like, what? Like not really many people were listening to them then.
Like
but
AM radio.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but at the same token, I was like, I like what he's doing. I feel like it has a ton of potential, and we're going to get in on the ground floor. And as you can see now, Fly still dominates all those podcasts. Like they pretty much own. Like Steve and I came up with the whole Moto 60, Fly Moto 60 thing that was, every an hour show before every national or Supercross, and so that seemed to go over really well. And so we've known each other for a long time, and I just try and stay in touch. And he said, hey, you want to do an interview? Just because just trying to network and keep my name out there and hopefully land someplace. And so he was kind enough to do that interview with me. And I've been on a couple other podcasts, the Pit Pass Moto Show and the Racer X Moto Marketing Podcast, which is super cool. I like that one a lot. I think that's, it's catered towards dealers and brands what, same thing, kind of what I'm starting to want to do right now, content marketing. And so, yeah, it was fun to go on that show and talk about content. And I think Luke Nestler is the guy running that. So yeah, he's based there with Racer X in Morgantown.
Oh, okay. And content marketing, well, explain what it is, just in case somebody doesn't understand.
Yeah, content marketing really is, it's basically blogging. You're basically generating, whether it's product content, lifestyle content, educational content. That's kind of like the new age of marketing. Like instead of just sell, product, shove it down people's throat. It's more subliminal. You put pieces out. I'll use the example of that Blackwater 100 piece. Like I did that for Wiseco Piston. They hired me to do that piece, and it's really has nothing much to do with Wiseco in the entire article. A few mentions here and there. At the end of it, it's like, we're proud of our association with the Blackwater 100 and the whole Racer Productions crew that put on the GNCC series. We've been a sponsor from the beginning, and so that's sort of the approach. Like those type of articles are just like evergreen content that just lives out there on the internet, and people will 5 years from now will find that piece and still find it informative and fun to read. But it also gives Wiseco kind of like that good guy look, where it's like, hey, we're doing stuff it's more than just trying to sell you product. We're trying to get you interested in the industry. We're trying to share the history of the industry, the sport. So it's that type of approach. I'm not sure. I hope that.
Yeah, it's like you're nurturing the industry. To me, it's nurturing your customers. And where I think what a lot of people do, a lot of businesses do, they put ads out there that show a motorcycle. Here's the MSRP, here's the sale price, and that's all there is. But what if you put something out there that is maybe an article about like Blackwater, and there is no ad to sell anything, but all of a sudden somebody reads about Blackwater, and then maybe it could be a newsletter, a monthly newsletter, and then somebody else, the same company, puts another newsletter out there the following month, and maybe it's water crossings, how to cross a river on your Triumph. Yeah. Hopefully you don't do that.
Yeah, really, it appeals more to people's emotion. Like when you think about, like, personally, my favorite brands are ones that I have an emotional connection with, like Fast House and 805. Like that appeals to me emotionally. Like I feel like it resonates with me, and I'm like, I love what they stand for. And so that to me in a lot of cases will trump the quality of even a product. Like they might have an inferior product, but I'll still buy it because I love their branding. And it's like, yeah, I love what they stand for, like what they do for the industry. And I always use the example of Red Bull just because for content marketing in general, because I feel like they're one of the best cases that it shows you what content marketing can do. I mean, really, Red Bull is a media marketing company, an event company that happens to make an energy drink,
Yeah.
And when you think about it, like when you walk into the store, like that's one of the first things you think of, that brand, at least for energy drinks. For me, I've always been more drawn to them because I like their marketing, what they do. They put on freestyle event. I mean, all these different events worldwide. They put out amazing video content. They don't have to do that, but they're building up those sports and the industries by creating this amazing content that draws people to those.
And then they put everything in a smaller can for the same price or exactly. More money.
Yeah, doesn't even really factor in. Apple's of course the other one. It's just where, I like what they stand for, and I mean, other phones might be better, but I don't really care. I'm a fan of Apple, Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's just shows the effectiveness of, the old school way is that, just sell, product, and I really noticed this with this COVID thing, like what brands were really in tune with the content marketing kind of mentality, because there's a lot of brands I saw that I'm like kind of made me cringe, where like, it was just business as usual. Still going product, and I go, man, this is different now, like it's a little more sensitive. It kind of comes across as tone deaf if you're just shoving product down. They buy our stuff, and it's, you know, there's other more important things going on, you know, to where I think
especially when they don't have any inventory. They
yes,
yeah, I've noticed some people doing that. They're pushing their stuff. They've been doing it the entire time, and you can't even buy their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, more than anything, I feel like, you know, there's been some brands that I just kind of like lost interest in because I'm like, just the way they've sort of handled themselves and conducted business during this. Like they just sort of ignored everything as if the world's not crazy right now and they still have a bottom line. And so, which I get, you know, like there's a lot of companies trying to stay alive right now and dealers, you know, and so they're trying to do what they have to do, but it's, in some ways it's sort of self-fulfilling, you know,
yeah,
sort of changing their, you know, marketing to change with the environment that we're in.
Right. Yeah, they should. Well, hey, how do people get a hold of you? I'm going to put a link at the end of this, but and on my site. But how do people get a hold of you for some marketing?
Yeah, so Buzz Media, you can go to buzzmediacontent.com, or you can just Google Dale Spangler. I have dalespangler.com, but yeah, buzzmedia.com is up and rolling and got all my contact info and everything on there. And I have an Instagram page and Facebook, you know, business page. So yeah, should be pretty easy to find.
Where's your next ride? You're riding like every day, but
yeah, I like to just, you know, it's funny, but I just love the whole like Idaho City Loman Loop, just because it's, you know, it's about 150 miles and takes me about, you know, 3 hours or so. So it's something I can, you know, I can be working or doing something, and yeah, I'm gonna go ride that loop, and you know, it's kind of a manageable thing. So
yeah,
I don't know yet, like with everything that's going on, I haven't really traveled outside of the state or anything. Like I've wanted to go up and visit my buddy, Ryan Elliott, who lives up in Helena, Montana. He works for that creative agency here in Boise called Sovereign. So, but they started a Sovereign in Helena. And so I've been wanting to go up and just visit him, but yeah, just trying to be cautious, you know, like it's obviously there's so many unknowns right now, and my mom's 77. So I'm trying to be somewhat cautious with, trying to do the right thing, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Where's she at?
She's here in Boise.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a funny story, but like when we moved to Texas, my wife and I, that was another big reason we came back, but it was tough, you know, like I felt bad. My mom, I grew up in Ohio, and so she moved out here like almost 10 years ago now to be close to me. And then I go and move to Texas, you know, so it's like, felt horrible, you know, going there. And, but she came down to visit it once. She's like, no way, you know, which I wouldn't, it's insane down there driving. So, and that was part of the reason we came back to Boise. Obviously it's, you know, it's amazing here, and
yeah,
we missed it. You know, my wife's born and raised Idaho, so she was like not having it down there. She got to the point where she's just like, I don't even want to leave the house.
I get it. Yeah, we're in an awesome place, except for the smoke right now with all the forest fires.
Yeah, well, compared to some places, I mean, there are hurricanes, everything else that's going on. I feel like we're pretty lucky, you know.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super. Yes.
Yeah. No tornadoes or any weird stuff like that, where it's just. Yeah, that was another thing about Texas. Like the storms are frightening. You know, the first time I heard a siren go off, I'm like, what do I do? You know, I just had no clue.
You go stand outside and look around.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dale, hey, I appreciate you taking the time out for this. So everybody, there's a link. You can probably see it right now to get to Dale. I guarantee if you have them do something, spend the time and the money with them to get a little bit of media work, you will get a return on your investment. There is no doubt about that. He's done it for a lot of different companies. So, Dale, thanks a lot, and happy riding.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much, Tommy.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy again. I wanted to let you know that Dale always seems to be swamped with media projects. The guy's got a special gift when it comes to attracting attention for various businesses, so I've added a link to him over at my website. I've got it posted in the podcast section, and you should definitely check it out. I also wanted to invite you to join the best thing that I've ever put out. We call it the Sales Challenge. It's the perfect way to sell, and it's a challenge. You know, Everyone in life has to learn how to sell, whether it's a product that you're selling, you're trying to get hired for a new job, or a salesperson in a motorcycle dealership trying to help somebody pick out a new side-by-side. Whether we realize it or not, we're all selling, and it's to improve the way that we live. No matter where you're at in life or in your career, this challenge is going to help you get to the place that you're trying to get to. It's going to pull you out of your comfort zone, so you've got a plan to move forward every single day. This will show you the secrets that most people never get to hear about, from having an easy-to-follow daily plan to selling over Facebook, through email and text messages. If you need some direction and you want to know what causes people to really want to buy something from you, how to create and how to present offers, how to use the phone to make money and generate traffic when it seems like everybody's quit buying, this challenge is where you'll get these tips. We even do live phone calls to help everybody out. So right now, stop what you're doing. Pause this audio. Get online and go over to perfectwaytosell.com. That's perfectwaytosell.com and join the challenge. There's one that's about to start in a few days, so get started right now. perfectwaytosell.com.